So unit of measure schedules allow you to track the different ways that you sell particular items. The biggest thing to keep in mind in the unit of measure schedule setup and unit of measures is your base unit of measure is always the smallest way that you work with that product. So I've got a unit of measure schedule ID set up for cans, so like soda cans, soda pop. My lowest base unit of measure is an individual can, and because I don't sell parcels of that can, my quantity decimal places is 0. So as you can see down below, the first line that is always going to be on your unit of measure schedule setup is going to be that lowest base measure. So it's 1 can. The equivalent is how many cans make up that unit of measure. So we have a can is equal to a can. If I look at a 6-pack, that 6-pack is made up of 6 cans. And so what that means is when I do a purchase order or sales order and I choose to use 6-pack on my unit of measure, then when that transaction is received in, then the system will automatically update the inventory quantities for that item based on the equivalent back to cans. So if my purchase order says 1 6-pack, when that gets received in, the system knows that it needs to update my quantity and add 6 to the quantity of my can item. We can do the same thing with cases and 12-packs. So in a case in this particular instance, I've defined that a case is equal to 24 cans, but I've also said that a case is equal to 4 6-packs. We can do a 12-pack. That's going to be 12 cans. It could also be 2 6-packs, or it could be 2 12-packs. So the key here, again, is to make sure that your base unit of measure is the smallest unit of measure that you work with, and then to define the different ways that you're going to work with, whether you buy or sell a product based on those unit of measures. So another example in here is measuring for hours. So we can look at hours. In this case, our base unit of measure is hour, but we do have a quantity of 2 here because we could work in a half an hour or a quarter or 3/4 of an hour. So we want to have 2 decimal places available for a 0.25, 0.5, 0.75 of an hour. Again, our first line is always going to be that base unit of measure. So an hour is 1. A half day we've defined as 4 hours, and a full day at 8 hours. So if I do a transaction and I choose a unit of measure of full day, the system is going to know that it should be 8 hours.